What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's Tuesday tutorial in video 2 in my series dedicated to the Boss VE-500 vocal performer. Tonight I'm going to be teaching you two things. The first of which is going to be a very basic setup on board the VE-500. Let's just plug in our microphone and rock and roll. The second thing I'm going to teach you is going to be not only plugging in our microphone, but also plugging in a guitar or a keyboard as well. So sit back and relax, because here we go. Okay, this is the first of two setups I'm going to show you tonight. This is a very basic setup, and we're going to use this in the context of we're going to the gig, we're plugging in our microphone there to the VE-500, we're going right into our mixer, and our mixer goes to our PA. We're not plugging in a guitar, we're not plugging in a keyboard either. This is just strictly microphone only. And what we have on board is the Yamaha MG06 mixer, the Boss VE-500 vocal performer, of course, two XLR cables, male to female, and the microphone I am plugging into the VE-500 is the mighty Electro-Voice RE20. Let's just take a look at the backside and see kind of what we're working with. Right here we have our instrument ends, so we're going to take our guitar or our keyboard. You would plug it in right there. Here's our instrument through that would go on to an amp or another effects pedal, something like that. More on that later. That's going to be the second half of tonight's tutorial. We plug in our microphone right here. Right here is our ground switch, our stereo left and right. Right here is our MIDI in. We have a control 1, 2, or expression pedal we can plug in right here. We have a USB in if we want to download settings from our computer, and right here is where we plug in our power supply. So the first thing we want to do, of course, is plug in our microphone. Next thing we want to do is take one of our XLR cables. We're going to go from the left out into input 1, channel 1 on our mixing board. Next thing we want to do is take our second XLR cord. We're going to go out of the right output and go into the second channel on board our mixing board. All right, now that we've done that, we would take our line right out of our mixing board and go into the PA or our DAW or whatever we're going to be recording into. And it's really that easy. Okay, so right here is our second setup I'm going to walk you through. This is in the context of if you're going to the gig and you're running a keyboard or a guitar through the VE-500 along with your voice. Obviously, there's a little bit more gear involved. Now we have the Roland JDXI keyboard that we're also running through the VE-500 along with our voice. So again, we have the Yamaha MG06 mixing board, the Boss VE-500, the Roland JDXI keyboard, 2 links of instrument cable, 2 XLR cables, male to female, and of course this is acting as our microphone. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and plug in our microphone. Okay, and just like on the last setup that we had, let's go ahead and take our very first XLR cable. We're going to go stereo left out of the VE-500 and go into channel 1 on our mixer. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take our second XLR cable and go out of the stereo right out of the VE-500 and into the number 2 input on board our mixing board. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take our first instrument cable and go from the instrument through right here and bring this all the way into the input on channel 3 on board our mixing board. So we're going from the instrument through over here to channel 3 input on board the mixing board. And the last thing we want to do is take the last piece of cable we have, instrument cable, and go out of the JDXI into the VE-500 input. So it's really easy. You just take your stereo left and right out of the VE-500, go in over here to your mixing board, take your instrument through from the VE-500, go into the input on channel 3 on your board, and then out of your JDXI into the instrument input on board the VE-500. If you've seen a previous video of mine, which I will include in the links below, It's the same exact setup when you're using this as a vocoder as well. So all my vocoder heads out there, this is one way of setting it up. and it seems to work pretty well for me. So that's all there is to it. Now we know how to hook up our microphone in the VE-500. We also know how to hook up our microphone and or our guitar or keyboard into it as well. Catch up with me next week and I'll release the next video in my series dedicated to the Boss VE-500. You all stay happy, you all stay healthy, you all stay safe, and most importantly, stay creative. Talk to you guys soon.